Hi Stampers, Rachel here from Rachthestamper.wordpress.com, and today I thought I'd show you a fun card using the Seaside Shore stamp set. Man, that is a mouthful. So this is the card. I've seen a lot of these Z-fold cards lately, and I think they're really cool just because they have so much interest, and you can put pop-up fish on here. You could cut out the seaweed and pop that up. There's so much that you could do with this. But I thought this would just be a simple way to start. And I did this also using a thank you so much from the Thankful Thought stamp set. And I embossed that with the copper embossing powder, which is so super pretty with this Bermuda Bay cardstock. So I know this looks a little daunting, and you could actually even make it without this front piece if you wanted to. It's completely up to you. You can make it just like that. It's a fun stand-up card. Or you could add this front piece as well. No big deal either way you want to do it. So let me show you how to get started. You can just move this back. So what we're going to do is we're going to get out our Stampin Trimmer. Let me just move all this stuff out of the way. Okay, and we're going to use, we can stick with the Bermuda Bay, but how about just to show you something different, I will go with the, what's another good underwater color? How about the Pacific Point? Because that is a really pretty card color as well, especially for underwater card. You could also switch this up, use any stamp set. You could make it a happy birthday card, so many different options. So what we're going to do to start, this is a full-size piece of cardstock, 8.5 by 11, and we're going to cut it at 4 1/4. We're going to cut it all the way across, and we're going to need both pieces of this if you decide to do both parts. So for the first thing, what we're going to do is we're going to now use our scoring blade, which is the light blade, and we're going to score it at 5 1/2. And then we're going to move it up to, we're going to move the score line. It's easier that way. We're going to move the score line to 2 3/4, and we're going to score it again. So essentially, this is just a card that is folded in half and folded in half. So you don't even need to score it if you don't want to. You could just fold this part in half and fold it in half, but it makes it a lot crisper if you do it this way. So let me just go over this quickly with the bone folder because I forgot to do that on my first card. Okay, and then what we're going to do for the second part, so that's our Z-fold. For the second part, it's up to you with this. So I went with 1 1/4 just to give it a little bit more size, but you could make it 1 inch. You could make it 1 1/4. For the second one, we'll do this one. This time we're going to make it 1 inch. So what I did is I just moved my cutting blade to 1 inch up here because it does have marks up, or you can cut it down here, your choice. So we're just going to cut that at 1 inch, and this part we're not going to use now. And the same thing again, we're going to score this now at 5 1/2, just the scoring, and then we're going to move our score mark down to our 2 3/4, and we're going to score it again. So this time, this one is going to be backwards. So now you have your large piece here. So you don't want to hook it up like this because it won't do anything except make another layer. And you certainly could make a card like that. That would look very cool, put layers on it. But you want to do it opposite. So this big piece is going to go into the small, and the small piece is going to go into the big. So that's going to make your little card right there. Okay? So one more time, I'm going to just use the bone folder just to make the edge a little crisper. And then what we're going to do is we're going to trim up some of our white. So for our white pieces, we're going to have, since this was 4 1/4, we're going to make them 4 by 2 1/2, or you could make it a little bit more if you, instead of going 2 1/2, if you wanted to do like 2 and, what would that be? 2 5/8, 4, 5, yeah, 2 5/8 would make it a little bit more online. But we're going to do 2 5/8, or 2 1/2, I'm sorry, because I think this is 2 1/2. Yeah, 2 1/2, and we'll do it by 4. Okay, so we're going to do 2 pieces, 2 1/2 by 4. Okay, and those are going to be for our layers that are going to go onto this. So one there and one there. And then we need, let's see what else. We also need a larger piece. Now, this obviously isn't going to cut it, so let me get you a bigger piece. Go with a little scrap piece here. So we're going to need the piece that is 4 by 5 1/4. And I think, let's see. I think this is not going to cut it either. Hold on, let me grab you an actual real piece of cardstock. I'm always trying to use up my scraps. Alright, so we're going to take this and we're going to cut this just in half. So we'll do 5 1/2 here. Put this on the side, and we're going to make this 4 instead of 4 1/4, and then we'll trim the other piece down. So we have our 4, and then we're going to make this by 5 1/4. Okay, so that'll be our piece that layers here in the back. Okay, just like that. And then we just need a couple more little pieces for the front layers. So again, this one, if you remember, we did this one at 1 inch. So we're going to do this at 3/4 of an inch instead. You know what? No, I'm going to do this one at 7/8. So I'm going to just trim this all the way down because we are going to use the whole piece almost. So make sure it's nice and flush. So 7/8 is what we went with. And we just want to trim it up slightly. So instead of doing 5 1/2, we're going to make this 5 4. I think that should be 4/8, right? Am I right? You're thinking 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4/8, 5 4/8. And then we'll do this at, instead of 2 3/4, we'll do it at 2 5. 2 5/8. So 2 5/8, and we need 2 of those. 2 5/8. Okay, so these pieces, let me move this out of the way so you can see it now. So these pieces are going to line up right on here. Okay, and it's only going to be a hair off now because I'm going to trim that just a smidge farther. It's going to line up really nicely. And then the same with this piece. These are going to line up almost exactly. Once again, almost exactly for those. Let me just trim just a hair off of this one just so it fits a little better. I think I did my measurements the blonde way today, just a little bit farther. Okay, there we go. That's perfect. I will put all the measurements for this on my blog when I put the blog post on as well, so you have everything. So now all we have to do is decide what we want to do with the card. So we're going to get all of our white pieces and we're going to put them down, and we're going to move our Pacific point off to the side for a minute. Okay, so as you can see, this lines up perfectly. It's completely opposite. So you have your 2 small pieces, your 1 big piece, and then you have your 1 big piece and your 2 small pieces. So what we're going to do instead of doing the thank you so much is we'll do the hope your day goes swimmingly, and we are going to do that into the copper embossing powder. So let's do that first. So what I'm going to get out is my Versamark and my sentiment. And we're going to stamp that on here right in the center. And that way we can build our image around. Now, the last time when I did it the complete opposite way. So you can do it whichever way you prefer, whatever way makes you feel better. So we're going to go ahead and dump our copper embossing powder on here. Okay. And we're just going to shake that around, give it a good flick. You certainly can use your embossing buddy. I just always seem to forget. We're going to move this off to the side, and we're going to put our copper embossing powder back right here, and we're going to pop on our heat gun. This is my favorite part, is watching all this cool stuff happen, because this embossing powder, if you've never used it before, is one of the most wow things to see. Just how it goes from powder to this absolutely beautiful melted. There's just no words. It's like liquid coolness. All right, so there we go. So isn't that just so pretty? I mean, this looks so, so, so nice. I really love this. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to get out some Tempting Turquoise. We'll get out Bermuda Bay, and we'll get out Pool Party. And we're going to kind of just stamp all of our images randomly. Doesn't have to be anywhere specific. Doesn't have to be anything organized. So we're going to do our, I have these 2 little starfish that I popped together. I'm going to do them in Pool Party down here at the bottom. And I just put them on there together. They don't have to go together, but I thought they kind of looked cute the way they were on the bottom. And now we're going to do some bubbles, and we'll do our bubbles in Bermuda Bay. We'll just do these up at the top. Bubbles everywhere. Willy Wonka, I think, said, bubbles, bubbles everywhere, but not a drop to drink. I love Willy Wonka. It's one of my favorite movies. All right. Just amusing myself today. Let's see, what else do we have here? We will do, how about if we do the anchor, and we'll do that in Tempting Turquoise, I think is the one we haven't used yet. Tempting Turquoise. We're going to just put that one over here. Put it down at the bottom. That's pretty fun. And then we will do our Let me get a little bigger of a piece here. Do our seaweed. And seaweed kind of depends on where you are and what color it is. So I'm going to do seaweed in Pool Party by the Anchor. And we'll do a couple pieces over here a little bit. And then we're going to do, let's get out the Pear Pizzazz. And we're going to put a little bit of Pear Pizzazz seaweed on our main image here. Kind of gives that a little bit of added interest. Over here. Okay, and as always, the other thing you can always use underneath of this, I'm just being a little bit lazy, is scrap paper. That way, if you get ink on the other side, it doesn't bum you out because you messed up your card. But I'm just usually wipe off my table after I stamp, so that's why I'm being a little lazy with it today. I am going to use the bubbles, and just to be different, how about if we do the bubbles in Calypso Coral, because that'll bring a little bit of color to the card. A little peachy orange color will be fun. Do that down here. Did I pick Calypso Coral? Yes, I did. Just looks more orange than I expected. Super fun. I really love these bubbles. They're so cute. I have absolutely no idea what they are, but they're fun. All right, we still have our one. So that card's pretty good. I'm going to leave that one alone. I'm going to put a couple bubbles on this one. Same thing, Calypso Coral. And go up with that. And let's see. Now on our regular image here, we still haven't put anything. So let's decide what we want to do with that. So how about if we put a little bit of Island Indigo. And this one here is the one I'm talking about. We will do some fish. We'll just do fish in different colors. So this we will do, first we'll do the lightest. So we'll have a Pool Party fish. And why not one more up here? And then we will go with this little crazy guy over here. We'll do him in Island Indigo, swimming the opposite direction. And another friend down here on the bottom, kind of only partially in. Sometimes I like to do these guys like they're jetting out of each other's way. I think it's just a little bit more fun. And then we have the angelfish. And how about if we make him, again, we'll do something a little bit more fun this time. Let me get a couple of these colors out of the way. Turquoise, Pool Party. How about if we do Flirty Flamingo? Why not a pink angelfish? No, they're usually black. But we'll put one of him on here. And then we'll put one of these guys. These, I swear, I think this one can go swimming either direction. So I'm going to put him over here in a different direction. Okay, and then the only other thing we're going to do is we still have to worry about these little bottom pieces here. Okay, so we have our two shorts and our one long. So what I'm going to do is, how about if we do seashells? We'll do a starfish and a seashell because they fit both on this small block together. You can kind of work them however you want them. Doesn't need to be specific, but we'll put them together and we'll just run them across the bottom. And then we'll add some other stuff in as well. So same thing here. And one more. Okay, and then what we'll do is bubbles. Bubbles are always fun. We'll put some bubbles on the bottom too. Bubbles in, how about Dapper Denim? A lot of colors going on this card. Same thing here. The Dapper Denim is really nice because you can stamp and stamp and it's still inked up really well. This is a really nice deep color. Okay, so the only other thing I'm going to do with this is we're going to do a little bit of sponging because I found when I did it earlier it looked really, really pretty. So we're going to sponge in Pool Party along all the tops. And then we're going to sponge on the bottom with, I think I did Garden Green just to bring out the color of the possible seaweed at the bottom. So we'll do the Garden Green first. So we're just going to do the very bottom of that. It kind of almost looks like that grass that you always see the little crabs cutting down. And you could do green all the way around if you wanted to. Totally up to you. But I just did it on the bottoms. And then on the small strips, I'm going to do it on the, I'm just going to do the Pool Party. I'm not going to do the Garden Green. All right, right, so I just did the bottom of that one, and then for this, I'm going to go around the sides. So this will be the sides and the tops, and it kind of just gives that more, just the color illusion instead of just being harsh white. And I'm going to do it all the way around these guys here. The other thing you could do is if you don't want to sponge these, another fun way to do it, which I do a lot, is just dipping the edge into the stamp pad. It gives it a really hard color edge, but it looks really, really neat. So instead of sponging, you would just do this. You just dip it, and it gives that little color. Just like that. So that's another fun way to do it, too. Let me just get the rest of these. Okay, and we have one more for this one. The cool thing about this is you could switch this to any stamp set, any greeting. I mean, you could even use this as a great, this would be a really fun wedding card because it would have a lot of different visual interest to it. You could make it a thank you card, a goodbye card, a bon voyage card, especially a happy birthday card. I mean, who would want to get this as a birthday card? It's really, really cool. All right, let me get this out of the way, and then we will put this together. So let me move some of these stamps so we don't make a mess of everything. And what we're going to do is we will put our greeting down first. And I'm just using SNAIL adhesive, just double-sided tape, but it's on a roller, so it's pretty easy to use. Okay, and then I'm going to put these two guys down as well. And if you note, I do always put these down on the paper just to make sure I don't need to trim it, because if you do now, you're going to kind of be in trouble. Once you put it on there, it just isn't going to line up right. So I like to put them on there. Oops, and that one was almost upside down. Just to make sure I like them, that they don't need to be trimmed. Another fun thing to do real quick while we have this, before I adhere everything else, is let's put a little bit of Wink of Stella. We can put it like on these little bubble trails. You could put it on just the fish. You could put it just these little swirls back here just to give just a little bit more visual interest. The other thing you could do is you could also put a little bit of glue down, and you could use the Dazzling Diamonds glitter, because that is, it would definitely adhere a little bit more, but it would definitely give a lot more glitter to your card. So it depends on how much you want it to be glittered. Okay, and now we're going to take our other piece here. I'm going to just put this down this way instead. I'm going to put SNAIL on all three of these. Okay, and then we're going to adhere our panels. Sorry if my head was in the way on that one. Okay, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, now before we actually, let me move this down just a smidge. Before we go through with completely adhering this, I do want to make sure that I like the way it is, that it's all lined up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just lay the card out and lay this piece out on top. So that is really fun. So this is going to fold in as this one folds out. I'm going to move this over just a hair more. And let me just put a little bit more adhesive down. No worries, that will stick. Let me go over a little farther there. Okay, and I'm going to just use my finger to rub off the adhesive here that I had on there. Or you could use the little adhesive remover if you want to. So all we're going to do is we're going to put some SNAIL on the other side of this one so it stays stationary. And we're going to put a little bit of SNAIL here so it stays hooked to here. It doesn't need to be all the way across because it is going to close. So my advice would be to put this down once it's closed just to make it a better fit. Okay, so we're going to put some SNAIL here on this side. And I kind of just stayed near the end because I really didn't want to hook the whole card by accident. Same thing with this one. If you're concerned, you could also use the fast fuse. That would definitely stay as well. So I'm going to put the top piece on first, all the way. And then I'm going to kind of close it and line up the bottom piece and then just push. And then once you open it, you can give it a little extra push. But that's it. That was so easy. And another thing you could do, now if you do this, I would highly recommend just watch where you stick them, because I stuck a fish here earlier. And then I realized because they're not same directional, it would be backwards and you really wouldn't be able to see it there. So if you stick a fish as a pop-up, I would stick it somewhere where your card will kind of be up. So there, or here, or here. but I did put this on a little piece of a dimensional here because I thought it was more fun. So let me just trim one of these off and you can see. So I did one here. And, oops, go on. But again, a lot of things you could do to change up this card. If you want any more information on this card, I am going to put, as I said, all the measurements on my blog, which is at rachthestamper.wordpress.com. If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to me on YouTube. I am at Rach the Stamper on YouTube, Rach the Stamper on Pinterest. You can find me on Instagram as well. And there you go. There's a couple little 3-dimensional fish. Just adds a little something to it. You could also, like I said, cut out your seaweed and put that on there. That would be a lot of fun. But it's a lot of fun because this card is really cute. And it will stand up on its own, which is like another added bonus. It's like a card in a card. You could leave any of these blank if you wanted to be able to write more of a sentiment on there. You could trim out a little sentiment and you could pop it up here as well. So I hope that gives you a little bit of inspiration for a really cool Z-fold card. You could do it with or without this extra piece. And again, you could change the size of it. This one is 1 inch. This is 1 1/4 inches. But all the measurements on the base card are the same. So thanks for taking time to watch. Let me know what you think of this card. If you have any questions, you can shoot me an email at rachthestamper@gmail.com or leave a comment on the blog at rachthestamper.wordpress.com. Hope you have a great day.